Good evening, good day, everyone. Oh wait, my camera's off. There you go. I kind of prepared a while ago. So Merry Christmas. I know some channels on YouTube are not comfortable saying that, but here, um, I'm like multitasking here. I'm updating the notes. I'm um, preparing the slideshow. That slideshow that you're seeing at the moment, I'd be explaining that later. And let's welcome our co-host, Jodini.
Hi, everybody. It
Yes, hello.
is,
What time is it?
oh, it's like 8 a.m. over here in
Oh,
America. So I have
okay.
what's called morning voice right now. Because I just woke up
Wow.
about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because here it's already 9 p.m. and I suddenly remembered it's DST from where you are. So if it's normally 12-hour difference, now it's a 13-hour difference because of this DST thing.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, here, uh, just a little briefer to some of our audience members, to our viewers that are seeing Untold Legends for the first time. If you've been here, if you were here since last episode, uh, chances are you have heard about Untold Legends before. If you have not yet heard of it, it's actually one of those podcasts by Jodini that stood as a season breaker. Like if Legends of the Internet would take a break, um, the filler episodes would come from Untold Legends. And I already asked Jodini to take over season two if ever there would be season two, and here we are. And I just made it appropriate to the title of the podcast that those topics that were not covered on Legends of the Internet and those that are not exactly familiar, topics or personalities that Jodine is not familiar with or Jodine's audience is not familiar with, that would be the set of topics that I'll be discussing here. So, yeah, that's why I was amused this morning or last night in your time when Russian Paul said a while ago that, hey, I enjoyed the episode one. Like, oh, yeah, thank you. Although I suddenly realized his username is Russian Paul, and of course, he'd be enjoying episode one since it involved a fake heiress who turned out to be a Russian grifter. There are a lot of topics here that deserve to be discussed. So most of the time, they also trended here online, depending on what social media you're subscribed to, or if you have an account with. And for episode two, although some people might consider this the bigger episode compared to that of episode one, maybe because nothing has been charged yet, and we are talking about the founder of the podcast, London Real. His name is Brian Rose. So, Joe, are you familiar with Brian Rose?
No, I'm not.
Mm, okay, yeah, because some of the topics that I ended up, or some of the personalities I ended up watching on YouTube are often recommended to me. So I think I will never understand what topics are recommended to me. I ended up discovering different communities. To think that I already live here in the Philippines, I don't know if some of the topics are recommended to me, but yeah, most of the episodes here for this season are based on the topics that are recommended to me that I find interesting. So here, um, just to pull up my notes, because here, what made Brian Rose trend on YouTube at least, or why does his not always his videos, but videos that are critical of him? Because who would have thought that a video takedown on YouTube would lead to a light bulb moment for the host of the podcast, London Real? So I ended up knowing more about Brian Rose from YouTubers like Coffeezilla, Mike Winnet, and Tom Nash. And they're not all American. Coffeezilla is the American here. Mike Winnet is British, and then Tom Nash. I'm not sure if he's Balkan or he has an accent whenever he talks. And there's also another YouTuber equals Cash, and those are the YouTube personalities that discussed Brian Rose and also got in trouble for it. And outside of YouTube, the only website that managed to discuss Brian Rose was Vice. So Vice so far has discussed about the way Brian Rose has capitalized on the notoriety of the conspiracy theorist David Icke. By the way, I need to ask, is there a buzzing sound again from my headset?
Is there a buzzing sound?
Yeah, it's. I think some listeners messaged me about it. It's
I hear like I can hear your regular computer sounds, but I don't hear any
okay.
buzzing.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's the side effect of my headset. It's a really good headset. It's been with me for 4 years, and this microphone that I have this for about 5 months, going on 6 months now. So quite durable items. I just don't like that this headset tends to act up. It must have been the age of the headset that I use. So yeah, and oh, thank you to the new ones here, Miss Arzaga Mukbang. Thank you very much for coming over, and thank you everyone else that um, gave me a thumbs up here on this podcast. And if some of you were sent over by Lawrence, if you ever came over here from Lawrence live stream, you're very much welcome here. I know you'd be horrified at hearing me speak English like with an accent, but yeah, this is my other this is my other side. You hear me speak in Filipino, but here is I speak English since before before I ended up becoming my a podcaster. I was a podcast researcher for Jodini. So now that I ended up having to host my own podcast, I applied that skill, and I ended up having a show of my own, a show that I can call my own. So yeah, and I also messaged some people on Facebook about this episode since um, they would then get an idea what topics are discussed here because most of the time I still put into consideration people like Judini, people like other uh, subscribers or people just people that came upon this podcast because they saw Brian Rose on the title with the infamous line "You didn't donate." So if this is your first time hearing about Brian Rose, welcome. This would serve as a good orientation for you. And if this is not the first time that you heard about Brian Rose and you came over here because you have some problems with him, then we would be discussing them as well. And we would do what we can to be fair here. We would be mentioning, we'd be crediting the sources that are used on this podcast to make sure that there would be fairness because sometimes even if you're fair to the topic that you're discussing, there would still be people that would be offended. And I am anticipating myself on that. So now that we got that underway, I simply have to go back to my notes since that was the main reason that Brian Rose thought of the digital freedom platform because his interview on his podcast with David Icke was the one that got taken down. So it's not a channel that got taken down, it was the interview. It's like when you have some friends that start comparing London Real with the Joe Rogan podcast, like it makes you think, are they trying to poke the bear? Are they trying to stir the pot? Or are they just trying to be controversial for the sake of views and clicks? And you can never tell because hopefully Well, like literally, well, yeah, because as I've mentioned here, that takedown got capitalized. Like Brian Rose capitalized that takedown by putting up a fundraiser to establish the so-called digital freedom platform and compete directly with YouTube. Okay. And hopefully understanding how sometimes the people advocating for freedom of speech would be the first people suppressing the right of stakeholders to question. Note that I use the term stakeholders, okay? And you see the irony there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I hear this too. I hear this too often in America. Like we're gonna make a platform that's different from YouTube, and we're gonna
Mm,
express all the voices. And then it just
mm.
turned out it's more corrupt than YouTube itself. Like if you ever do an episode on Storyfire, you're gonna find a whole bunch of information on that.
Oh my god. I've discovered Storyfire because a lot of these gamers have been recommending it. Like, um, yeah, I conduct research on those alternatives to YouTube's one by one. And one of the individuals that dared compete with YouTube, well, here, they tried to compete with YouTube and try, yeah, there's no censorship, no suppression of speech, no. Mm, it's like sometimes it comes across as a hard sell, at least to me. Because here, Brian Rose started out as a man who quit his career in banking while making millions in hopes of becoming a better man. Well, at least that's how he presented himself in his TEDx talk. It's He had this TEDx talk where I think some of the references would be mentioned also later, since in the description box on the TEDx talk that Brian Rose delivered, it was mentioned that Brian Rose, quote, Brian Rose had accomplished everything as a London city banker when he had an epiphany while staying at Richard Branson's chalet in Switzerland. That epiphany is he hated his work. So he resigned and created London Real, a video talk show with over 40 million downloads. End quote. And I found here another website, affiliatedsuccess.com, that mentioned Brian Rose's former job titles as, quote, a senior banker of high yield credit derivatives at ICAP, end of quote, and the other title, the CFO or Chief Financial Officer of LuxuryFinder.com, a now retired website, end quote. So neither claims contained any links or references verifying the info, taking note takers like me back to that TEDx talk to get an idea who Brian Rose claims he is. So now, as I've mentioned a while ago, this is the first time you're hearing about Brian Rose. Chances are you've heard about this digital freedom platform. So, what is the digital freedom platform? Let me just pause this for a while. There you go. So, according to Vice News, quote, on the 7th of April, year 2020, YouTube removed an interview uploaded by the channel London Real. In the video, veteran conspiracy theorist David Icke claimed that the virus doesn't exist. So instead, he asserted that the 5G radiation is responsible for the hypoxic symptoms of the virus. And this is a novel illness that experts continue to make efforts to understand. 2 days later, the UK broadcasting regulator Ofcom launched an investigation after parts of the same interview were shown on the TV channel London Live. Brian Rose, London Real's founder and frontman, seized upon the opportunity, rallying his London Real army into a show of resistance against Silicon Valley behemoths and what he sees as unjust censorship. Later that month, a crowdfunding campaign was launched with a target of $100,000, that is converted to pounds 80,484 UK pounds, to finance a digital freedom platform that would host videos YouTube might censor. Incidentally, That service is already provided by the likes of BitChute and BitTube, sites which bill themselves as free speech alternatives to YouTube and allow far right and conspiracy theory content. Days later, Rose's campaign was stepped up with the target raised to $500,000. So the first $100,000 would finance the live stream of a new interview with Ike on a digital freedom platform. A further $200,000 would cover an undetermined number of additional interviews, and another $200,000 would pay for the development of an unspecified new blockchain technology platform, according to the donation page. End quote. And that link is still up. It's still showing. By the time I click that reference on Vice News, that donation page is still up as of this writing, with the part in days left showing that the campaign has expired. So, for a goal set at $250,000, showing on the London Real fundraising site, that's actually the part that's um, quite blurred. Not blurred in itself. It's like this is confusing. Like, how much really is the total amount, or how much did they move the goalpost? Yes, I'm. It's weird that they've been moving the goalpost to make it seem like, yeah, it started this amount, and then this amount, then this amount, then this amount. So, and the fact about using the site using UK pounds to display the amount of cash raised in comparison to the gold being displayed in US dollars make you think twice. So it's like, this is the goal, 250,000. Then the amount displayed was that was raised was 11,190 UK pounds. I had to convert that myself, and it turns out that only $14,803.55 was reached, from the original amount. Although that's actually a shady figure. Once we get into the other parts or the other details of the fundraising thing, you'd see how shady this figure is. So, of course, the questions that would arise here would be, why not both amounts are displayed in the same currency? Like, if you're displaying the gold in dollars, the amount raised should also be in dollars. Like, if you're displaying that in UK pounds, the amount raised should also be in UK pounds, because it does not help that there's a bar that's displayed on the website showing that they did not even reach half the goal. So, for whatever that was raised, on the other hand, where did the money go if the goal was not reached? Because usually in some fundraising campaigns, whenever the goal is not reached, the money is returned, or you know, a different system. Wonder what happened here.
What's wrong?
No, it's okay. I'm just checking some notes. But as I was saying a while ago, we're in. I'm not much into Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I'm just aware of these crowdfunding platforms that don't reach the goal, but they don't return the money. And it's like, have you been in a crowdfunder before, Joe?
A crowdfunder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have not personally been in a crowdfunder. I know that there are a few of my friends that have, and I know that they haven't had good experiences with it.
Okay, that's yeah. That's actually the sad thing there. Have I been to a crowdfunder? No, not really. There've been crowdfunders that I know of that are done in person, uh, not like this, like not going online. Because although there have been crowdfunders done in the past, they're the kind of crowdfunders that use more of the local resources. Like, I don't remember any local campaigns using Kickstarter, Indiegogo. Maybe because if it can be used by a local website anyway, then that would be much better, at least.
Mm.
So I'm not familiar if about some campaigns if the money is returned to their respective donors if the goal was not reached. And that was actually the source of the problem in the crowdfunder that got that Brian Rose took over. And here, in while I was checking out the Coffeezilla videos, um, there have been several of them. Coffeezilla is one of those YouTubers that really paid attention to this. And one of the videos showed the original screenshot goal of at the time that he screenshot it. It was $1.1 million, an amount that was broken down in the Vice article, as mentioned in the previous paragraphs and mentioned in the original crowdfunding pitch videos, as divided into different phases. By the way, a shout out to Miss Marlene's vlog. Thank you very much for coming over. I appreciate having that you have us in the background. So it's on those faces that it's quite hilarious to see those faces going on in the fundraising thing. So I would try to summarize the each phase because as expected on the original link of these fundraisers, they sound so salesy. I might as well rewrite them to summarize best what each goal is for. So, for example, phase one is where Brian Rose hopes to air the 3-hour interview with David Icke. In the video itself, he mentioned that it would be aired to as many as it would be live streamed to as many as 1 million households. I consider that number a little exaggerated, but okay. But and also he even mentioned Brian Rose mentioned how another platform refused to air the content about David Icke because not everyone likes David Icke. And so this is in phase one is the original goal of $100,000 is found and completed. So phase two is where Brian Rose hopes to air more interviews that are deemed, according to Brian Rose, quote, groundbreaking live content that would otherwise be banned, deleted, or censored by the trillion-dollar Silicon Valley behemoth social media platforms, as well as the mainstream media.
Here we go.
Here we go. If this pitch sounds familiar to you, it's because it's similar to how some alternative media practitioners would claim that the mainstream media is lying to you. And these alternative media practitioners are here to tell you the truth that mainstream media would rather not cover. Oh, look, Alex Jones is one of the proposed planned guests if it materializes. I checked the list of the other guests. They plan to have Candice Jones. They plan to have Dr. Rochelle and other people that are deemed a little too controversial for YouTube. Although I'm not surprised if the season finale will be Alex Jones because you want to really present your platform as freedom of speech. Well, of course, freedom of speech will never be controversial unless you have Alex Jones in your guest list. Mm, okay. Mm. Okay, and also phase two is where the goal was 200,000 and 200,000 goal for phase two was completed. Phase three, this is the somewhat techie part, and I would rather explain the techie part here rather than go with the salesy pitch found on the London Real website. Uh, phase 3 involved the use of blockchain technology, using a pitch similar to how cryptocurrency is pitched by employing the use of blockchain distributed ledger technology to decentralize the content. It's almost like decentralization is the goal for these platforms. Makes my head hurt sometimes. So, okay, the pitch went as far as presenting itself as the victim by claiming that, and to quote Brian Rose, London Real has been hit by a series of sophisticated malicious attacks on website. End of quote. And to quote another line, content has been deleted or removed from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Dropbox. I don't understand why they included Dropbox here, but whatever. So those are the companies that Brian Rose named in the pitch. Also, it has a goal of $200,000, which was also achieved. So there's some people that really think that, oh, my content got removed. I must be telling the truth. Like, what the hell? They didn't real.
No, you're probably telling something that's a bold-faced lie, and you're just believing it to be true. And then you're just like, "Well, I can't be telling lies on here." Yeah, you can't be telling lies on here.
Oh my god! Can you imagine someone making a sales pitch out of that situation?
Don't get me
Oh,
started. I could be that. I could pretend to be that person. I'll get on camera myself and just be like one of these guys, and I'll
oh
just
no
make it
no
like
no!
a parody or
Wait,
satire.
it's so easy to satirize them because they have no idea how satirical some of these things are. Which is why I'm trying to avoid talking about David Icke. Um, I, I might leave that topic to someone else. I'm just here to talk about those and how some of the sales pitches are hilarious. Anyway, phase four. Okay, phase four involved the development of an app for streaming all mentioned potential episodes. Uh, it is being a separate goal from the blockchain technology. Sounded a little shady, but that's just me. Purpose mentioned for having that app without going into detail if the same blockchain technology would be used is for the convenience of, or to quote Brian Rose again, the convenience of watching our live stream broadcast on iOS or Android without having to endure web browsers, player incompatibility issues, or long loading times. At the time that I was writing this note, you were having the Zap Dramatic live streams. Like,
Ah,
okay, yeah, and it's like, really, this is how they pitch this app. Like, so the goal of $250,000 was achieved on phase four. Then we go to phase five. Maybe that's why Flash is no longer supported because some of these websites are trying to pitch that. Yes, we have the ultimate uh, streaming software. Like, this is better than YouTube, no lag, and no censorship. Like, what the hell? Okay, and phase five involved expenses intended for okay, intended for suing YouTube in a court of law based in the European Union. That's why I was laughing. Like mentioning the GDPR, that's the law in the European Union that is about privacy laws. Mentioning the GDPR provisions that YouTube allegedly violated when it took down the David Icke interview. I tried to watch the David Icke interview. I can't finish it without my brain bleeding. That's how bad it is. You're free to talk about that in your own podcast, just in case you wanted to. But knowing how you acted a while ago about how these, my content got deleted. No, no. So yeah, and yeah, as I mentioned, the GDPR has become the basis for privacy laws in the European Union. It's also the main reason why some of us um, marketers online are a little wary of having clients based on the European Union because we have to read that law first. So now It still appears on the site, on the London Rail website, as Phase 5 completed with a goal of $250,000. Okay, so Phase 6 involved expenses related to Phase 4 and 5. So it really makes you think, why does it have to be a separate goal? And so it mentioned, and to quote Brian Rose again, I have a feeling that he wrote these pitches since he's really into these sales talk. Okay, to quote, dedicated professionals in legal, media, marketing, and technology fields in order to advance our mission of mass scale transformation in digital freedom of speech. That is the only phase that has not been completed so far, because this is the part where it seems like he's planning to make it a monthly goal. And if that would be a monthly goal, so far I saw on the London Real website that it's $250,000 a month. And that's quite a big budget. For even if you mentioned that it includes legal, media, marketing, technology fields, because he on the later parts of this episode, uh, it would be mentioned how Brian Rose is justifying the price of the funds raised and how streaming is expensive. Like, and here I am streaming. All I have is my laptop, some internet, my 4-year-old headset, and my microphone. I don't have a condenser yet, but I'm working on it. Sometimes I wish I had that kind of a fundraising skill, but at what cost? As that girl asked Thanos or Thanos. So it reached. What happened was the goal got stretched into a $900,000 thing. Right? That's why it ended up with $1.1 million, according to the screenshot by Coffeezilla, and all because Brian Rose wanted his interview of personalities like David Icke streamed online without risk of getting taken down. So, what kind of technology are we talking about that needed this kind of funding? So, I mentioned a while ago Coffeezilla. He was conducting his research. I think I can play this clip again. So, Coffeezilla credited equals cash. Um, I'm not sure what nationalities equals cash, but he spoke with an accent a lot thicker than the accent of Tom Nash, and they are quite adept with technology. About, is this really a website that Brian Rose's team developed in order to come up with a new streaming platform or a new website or something directly from scratch? Like, if there would be websites that can be considered as direct competitors to YouTube, of course, the first thing that comes to mind would be Vimeo, since that's where the videos get embedded into websites that I view occasionally. Vimeo or what's the other one?
Daily
I
Motion.
Daily Motion. Yeah, Daily Motion. There's even another one that's OK.ru. Like such videos, and then of course there'd also be on Patreon and then Subscribe Star content that are exclusively to them. But at least if you're going to pay or donate to Patreon or Subscribestar, you're guaranteed this content. So, of course, if one is technologically gifted enough, I'm not so techy, but I know how to read the source code once in a while. I've been learning from these websites or from these guru busters. Equals Cash would call himself a guru buster and then would display the source code used for the website, because the moment that it went live, For Phase, the moment the video intended to be funded by Phase 1 got live, it was posted on the community page of London Real's channel, YouTube channel, and then uh, it provided a link that would show the 3-hour interview that Brian Rose had with David Icke. The the video is not working, and of course, techie people like equals cash would then check what could have gone wrong, what could have gotten wrong here. Like, is this is this actually a site that was taken directly from scratch? Turns out that the moment he checked out the source code, it was traced to this agency that is using Dailymotion. So it's not directly from scratch. It's like you donated to Phase 1 for a streaming platform that would possibly stream the interview that Barnos had with David Icke to as many as 1 million households, only to find out that it's a streaming service that you can get with Dailymotion for free. So that's when the questions popped up like, hey, you're using Dailymotion to stream this interview, or you're using Dailymotion. The David Icke interview had some errors. Most of the Dailymotion links got traced to the next episode, which is the one with Dr. Rachel Maddow. I think I butchered that name, but yeah, that's where some of the Dailymotion links were found in the source code, and it's like that's when the question started. Like, you raised this much money, and then you ended up with this information that you ended up with a website that's basically an extension of the original website. Like if this is London Real, then there's londonreal.tv, and then it was even provided in a screenshot later on by Coffeezilla that if the main site is londonreal.tv, the Digital Freedom Platform has a URL of digitalfreedomplatform.londonreal.tv. So it's more of a spin-off. It's like I may not be that adept on websites because I only have one website. It doesn't have the merchandise store yet, but hopefully once I got additional information or additional knowledge when it comes to these to developing websites from scratch, I would have an idea how to spin off the original website into other platforms, like having one with a .tv extension. So here, there's a main website and there's another website. So if it can be done using spin-offs, what were the funds raised for? So everyone was really asking him, hey, you raised this much money. You said that you would be developing a different platform, a different website that would directly compete with YouTube. Turns out you were using the resources of Dailymotion. You were using the resources of WordPress. So where did the money go? And it's also a question that also displayed Brian Rose's inability to handle criticism. And it's easy to understand why Coffeezilla's videos end up getting a lot of these views because he has a way of making it sound funny for something so sad that happened to a lot of people. Because I find it funny that in the middle of research, I check out Coffeezilla's videos and the ads that pop up are the London Real ads. Like, maybe you're familiar with these ads wherein, hello, I'm a student of London Real and I'm here to give a testimony. You know, that kind of ad. So,
Um, Probably not. I haven't
you
seen
may,
much of those.
okay, yeah. Because that's the irony of it. I watch Coffeezilla, Tom Nash, and then Mike Winnet. And then the ads that would show up And I don't skip those ads in support of these content creators because it's like, here's a video critiquing London Real or Brian Rose or both because they come across as the same person anyway. And then the ads that are funding these criticism videos are the London Real ads. So it's like Brian Rose is paying ad expenses, and then the ad revenue ends up with his biggest critics. It's actually genius. So imagine Brian Rose ad expenses getting directed towards content creators critical of his methods. So what was the criticism all about? So at least most of them tried not to be personal about it because in one screenshot or in one video, Coffeezilla provided a screenshot of excerpts from the replies of Brian Rose written in the description box of one of London Real's videos. Because, weird as it may sound, a lot of videos that Brian Rose uploaded on YouTube related to that fundraiser are still up. And they still get recommended to me simply because I typed on the search box Brian Rose or London Real, and the list of videos that I've watched, like my watch history, it would show up London Real or Brian Rose, and none of them are glowing reviews of Brian Rose and the business accelerator course that Brian Rose once offered prior to all of this fundraising brouhaha that happened. So in that description box, it's it basically enumerated all of the replies that Brian Rose had. This is basically his response to criticism. So, for example, one paragraph said, to quote Brian Rose, if you want to contribute to the building of this platform, please do. I believe that together we can build something stronger than just me alone. If you don't want to contribute, then please don't. But don't try to tell me or my supporters what to do. I won't have it, especially in my social channels, which are literally my house. End quote.
Okay, buddy.
So this is how he spoke after he got the money. Okay. Okay, so yeah, furthermore, in the description box it says, Brian Rose, to quote Brian Rose, so I will be spending money as frugally as possible. So when I have free technology options, I will obviously use them. And when I have to spend my donors' hard earned money, then I will. I have worked in business and tech startups for over 20 years, so guess what? I know what I'm doing, which is why we waste so much. End quote.
I got a degree in computer technology. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it does sound like, it does sound like, you know, it really sounded like one of those people that claimed, "Hey, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for the past 20 years, so you don't need to tell me what to do."
I've been doing radio since I was 18. I don't need to learn anything new in 2020.
Yeah, it's one of those pitches that really sounded familiar at this point. So, and then here is one. I think this is one that is. It really came across as arrogant to me. I don't. This is would come across as arrogant to you because people obviously mentioned his business accelerator course since that was originally his bread and butter. So he said, to quote Brian Rose, if I wanted to simply make an extra $1 million, then I would sell 330 of my business accelerator programs at $3,000 each, which I did last month, meaning April 2020. So I surely don't need to raise donations to do this. Lol. End quote. No, I'm serious. Lol is included in the reply. Like, how professional.
But what a great businessman. Lol.
Yeah.
Let me tell you my
No,
business model and how it's going to fail, even though I'm not going to admit that it's going to fail. Lol.
lol. Yeah, I think very much to the 5 million people in the house watching. Yeah, we have a mixed bag here. Thank you very much for coming over. Let's see. So here, later in the text found in the description box, Brian Rose claimed that it's not his job to respond to criticism.
Really? A
You mentioned how he will
businessman
focus
not
on it.
responding to criticism? What? You must
Oh,
must really worship Trump then.
well. I don't think that's the case since that's actually what I don't understand. His program is entitled London Real, but he sounds American. Oh god. So okay. Then of course there would be the comments. He Coffeezilla had to screenshot some of the comments before they get deleted, which yeah, it makes you think. I thought there's freedom of speech. How come he's deleting comments? And then of course some some of the comments got screenshot and Coffeezilla discussed them on his video. Yeah. So yeah, one comment said in reaction to the video, to the explanation, to the response, to the responders, to quote, you literally said nothing at all. You didn't explain anything except say, I know what I'm doing. I'll spend the money. Don't ask what I do with the money because startups and tech. If it was that easy to sell 330 of your 3,000 buck courses, then why not just do it and fund your platform instead of begging for people's hard earned money? And then, of course, London Real replied, this is where you start speculating if it's an intern or Brian Rose himself applying. The reply was, I don't have to explain anything. Read it again. Okay, so there was a reply to that. A fool and his money are easily parted. Just saying. Suckers! And then London Real replied, let me guess. You didn't donate. And, and then another commented, yeah, I don't trust you anymore. London Real replied twice to that comment. First with, it's mutual. And second with, let me guess. You didn't donate, so I don't really care. And then another
Keep
she
going,
would
keep going.
yeah, another commented in reaction to the winner's focus since Brian was so saying, yeah, winners focus on winning. So somebody reacted to that quip with, scammers focus on scamming. And then London Real replied, like you? Wait,
What?
it, and like, is this a bot? Is this an intern? Is this Brian Rose himself? And then here's the kicker. So by the time that you think it's a bot that was replying, somebody commented, elderly narcissist. And then London Real replied, who you calling old?
Oh, that's the last thing you want to tell me.
Yeah,
What do you mean? I'm a young man with a six pack with a big you know what that all the ladies
I'm
love.
I'm a man that can break dance. Like yeah, some of his reactions on you on well, some of them are not on YouTube. They're on Instagram. He would show himself doing some break dancing or doing a headstand. Like this is how you respond to criticism by doing a headstand. Like oh god. Okay, so here another comment here says because turns out that the David Icke interview did not go live, and Brian Rose was claimed that they have some technical difficulties. So of course there's a question. Where's the David Icke Q&A video that was advertised to be posted? Was it a lie? Will it be delivered? London Real replied to the comment. Did you donate? Thought not. Like, and then this commenter, I know, this commenter turned out to be an actual donor. He commented again. I am a captain actually. Yes, I donated and I can provide you proof. Please answer the question and not insult people that gave you money. Shocking. End of quote. So, yeah, he was referring to the captain rank was the donor tier commenter picked to donate. So, of course, the lowest tier was sergeant, and then there's captain. Then, yeah, you can imagine these ranks that are that there are tiers when it comes to donations, and they were named after military ranks since Brian Rose called these donors the London Real Army. And of course, a lot of these donors are appalled that this is how he talks to his army. Like, oh god. Okay, so and here, Coffeezilla even found some screenshots from Instagram because apparently he replies there too. On Instagram, feedback about the fundraiser also reached Brian Rose. One comment read, conspiracy theorists can see the conspiracy in everything, apart from the one they are financing. 100K to stream some video? Behave yourself, Brian. So Brian Rose replied through his handle at the real Brian Rose. The quote, 1.3 million people, dummy. Yes, it costs money. Let me guess, you didn't donate.
Is that his only retort? You didn't
Of course,
donate every criticism he gets?
yes. Even on Instagram, he thought it's just on YouTube, but he also replies like this on Instagram, like,
And, and,
really?
and even if they provided proof, they'd be like, oh, well, that's that fake proof. You probably just copy and pasted it from another website.
Thank God he did not go that route.
Uh,
He would simply pretend that it didn't happen. So yeah. So the same person replied to this reply on Instagram, show the audit if your aim is transparency, and then included a clown emoji. So Brian Rose replied, it was like reply. So Brian Rose then replied, transparency was never my aim, dummy. The money was entrusted for me to spend as I see fit, and I will. Go find another place to troll. I'm cringing. I'm cringing.
right. It's like, I'm not the one trolling. You're the one trolling.
This is why, and that's why he became a meme online. It's like for every question, for every criticism. It's like, let me guess, you didn't donate. That's why I put the title there. I even put him on the screenshot. Don't you have any other reply to this? And of course, since he's ignoring the criticism, he's ignoring the questions, and then these other videos would come up about how there was this student that bought the business accelerator course from Brian Rose for $3,000. That's the amount in US dollars. She was interviewed by Tom Nash, and apparently Brian Rose is really not good at handling criticism because next thing the person realized, some of her fellow students got kicked out for asking about the course, about this thing, about various various observations that they have with this course, and then what happened to the goal of freedom of speech if simply raising questions would get them kicked out of the course? Like, so what happened to the money? So if it's like $3,000 for a course, even I consider that too much. I don't remember paying anything beyond about $60. I think that's the most expensive I've paid for um, a business course online. But That's the kind of course that Brian Rose was pitching at that time. So some of these uh, some of these issues even got even surfaced further because when I was researching on Brian Rose, and since YouTube keeps recommending that TEDx talk that Brian Rose delivered, um, I ended up checking the comments just to see about the feedback. So that's why I had the slideshow here. I might be changing that to a different one. Let me just go with the Apple slideshow so that we can pause and we can actually pause about. I made a separate slideshow here so that we can read them separately. Here we go. Because, yeah, it shows screenshots from the TEDx talk here. I quoted this part already since on the early part of the episode that we have. And then why I ended up scanning this is because there was a running joke more than a week ago that Brian Rose might be running for mayor of London, and he's been critiquing the way that the current mayor of London is running the city. So, of course, it's like, is London really running out of choices that are willing to go with this guy? On the other hand, yeah, it makes you think that way. There are people who don't like Sadiq Khan, but Sadiq Khan is the current mayor. On the other hand, there are a lot of people that don't like Brian Rose as well. So let me just move on with some of the slides here. Okay, so this is a pattern that I've seen before on Twitter whenever they are trying to make a topic trend or at least create some engagement. It's like heart, 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 and then I want you on the cover of magazines, emoji, and then heart, and then there's a code breaker like that says Brian is now removing any negative reviews on the London Real Trust Pilot website. Just something to consider before donating or taking any of his get rich quick courses. I didn't screenshot the replies anymore since the point here is to show that there is an effort to invade the comment section of the TEDx talk with positive comments, maybe. Although, as long as there would be people like this guy that would be slipping through the cracks, then yeah, it's impossible for them to invade the comment section. Then there's another one. Okay, see, one, two, three, four, five, and then some anti Brian Rose comment, a critique slipped through the cracks again, saying that the narcissism here is something else, insufferable. Wow, so many comments that try to. I want you to cover magazines. I want you to cover magazines. Da, 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 da. Like, let's pretend that there's engagement. And let's pretend that this guy, this Brian Rose, has a lot of fans. Turns out that they have. Yeah, because have you noticed that on Twitter sometimes there's this trending topic, and then the moment you check on all the tweets, they all look the same.
Yes. And you wonder why
The,
something's trending, and you wonder, like, oh, so this is why it's trending.
yeah, because there's some ways to beat the algorithm, but in the course of trying to beat the algorithm, they ended up spamming the space. And that's also what happened here. So let's check another screenshot here. Okay, here's another. Oh no, another critique slipped through the cracks. Like while everyone else is commenting, look at this channel, oh my god. Like, oh. Then there's this comment saying that he deleted all of my comments and blocked me from his channel. No freedom of speech, hypocrisy at its finest. I suspect he's also buying fake positive comments and likes. And I'm familiar with the system about buying comments. I think I got a job offer in the past in some shady website like, okay, how much do I get paid for doing this? Oh, you get paid 20 cents per comment. I'm not even sure if that's worth it.
No, it's
Was-
not. Stay away
yeah,
from those things.
don't worry, I did not take the job.
Good.
Okay, so yeah, 20 cents. Like, no. Leave me out of this. Okay, let's look at another screenshot here. Oh, this one has mostly critiques. So here's one. It says, looks at it as if Scammington Rose has been buying favorable comments to wash away the tsunami of criticism and honestly exposing him as a total conman, charlatan, and outright grifter. And then another comment here said, WTF? Brian hits a new low. Glad to pass by and see how many comments he has bought. Brian, love, this is the UK. We see through your skullduggery. Then another okay, another comment. It is amazing to how he expects to get away with it, especially when given all the enemies he has made through his endless scamming. And I'm referring to and I had this verified with some of his former students in that Facebook group. They've bought courses back in 2015, 2016, and they realized that it was overpriced crap. So, yeah, and then continuing here, another comment. That's Brian for you. He must have given back a lot of donations once he got exposed. That's more of a speculation, I suppose. So, again, continuing with the comment, that's probably why he hasn't had any criminal charges. Then he moves on to the next money grab with the accomplice, the smiling viper. That part about not getting any charges because he probably returned some money, it's more of a speculation. Although I remember only one getting his money back. I hope to have him on the sequel of this episode, of the Brian Rose episode, because it would really be interesting to see what he did to get his money back. It's not always easy to get your money back from incidents like these. Okay, another series of hearts. Another series of hearts, and then another critique slips through the cracks. It says, Brian Rose, scam artist, his arrogance in this video is plain to see. Well, in a lot of his videos, his arrogance is quite obvious. I have to say that. So, in the sea of hearts, there's a critique. Yeah, he cannot fool everyone. Brian Rose cannot fool everyone, at least. And then, let me see the next part here. Oh, Tom Nash. Tom Nash is in the comment section saying, "This is the real Brian Rose comment section." Like, then of course, the some people would be happy to see him here because he's one of the guys that really exposed Brian Rose for who he is. Then another comment here says, "This con man has just put a copyright strike against Rebel Wisdom." That's another YouTube channel, by the way, a decent channel that does proper content. So a little info about Rebel Wisdom, about the channel Rebel Wisdom. They really did what they can to get in touch with Brian Rose because if you believe in freedom of speech, you also believe in a person's right to defend himself. And if he's not talking, if he would rather not talk to defend himself, then it's no longer your fault because you did your part as a journalist. At least Rebel Wisdom tried to do his part as a journalist by asking Brian Rose's opinion about this. And, based on what we have read earlier, if he keeps saying, let me guess, you didn't donate to practically everything thrown his way, yeah, you will not get a good conversation out of that. So, okay. And another comment here. Oh, yes, of course, someone is so happy with Tom Nash comment here. It says, you know it, haha. This comment section with All the deleted and blocked comments is fascinating read. Like eating ice cream with sugar and with honey, with golden syrup, with Coca-Cola, with chocolate, with stevia sprinkled on top. I'm sorry, I don't like that comment simply because I have high blood sugar. I haven't had my blood chemistry yet, but anyway, I see the point. It's sweet. It's so saccharinely sweet. Like, oh man. And then also, a lot of people like Tom Nash because he used to be in the stock market. He used to work there, and then he discovered that he can earn money on YouTube by crunching the numbers. Sometimes, well, actually, most of the time, you succeed in presenting how profitable something is if you compute actual numbers. Like, bookkeeping can be tedious at times, but if you know how to emphasize the income, then yeah, people will listen to you. Right? That's one thing that's good about Tom Nash, which is also why it's so easy for him to see why this is a scam. Why everything must be why must each phase of the fundraising campaign have to be at least $100,000? Doesn't make any sense for some campaigns to be that pricey. Then we have here, yeah, I highlighted that part here because this is the name of the group that I found, and I've been asking a lot of them. Chances are either later or tomorrow I'll be talking to some of the members there on whether they're willing to really come over on the show and talk. And since, of course, they're following the UK time, so that's, I think, around, that's an 8 hour difference. So if, for example, here in the Philippines, it's already 10 p.m., it might just be 4 p.m. there, 6 or 7 hour difference last time I checked. So, okay. So to read the comment here, he's paid bots to spam the comment section, but that won't work. Real, genuine people who comment and have been scammed by London Real will always stand out among the fake bots. So, and then of course they plug the Facebook group. And another comment said, still uploading identical videos twice in a row. Oh! For a future mayor confident in support and views, it's bizarrely desperate. I'm familiar with some YouTube channels that recycle content. It's like I'm familiar with that because some YouTube channels got a slap on the wrist for the most part. For, hey, you're just recycling content. You uploaded this before, now you're uploading it again just to make it look like you have a lot of uploads, and you're deceiving the the algorithm. Too bad you got found out. And on why London Real has not been punished yet for it, it's not clear if he got punished for it. But if he's recycling old videos to support his mayoralty campaign, well, good luck in recycling content. I believe in repurposing content, not recycling it. Okay? Okay. And then, of course, another comment here. What a joke. At least he can't delete comments here. I like it that the TEDx YouTube channel is not deleting these comments. That, oh yeah, freedom of speech, yes, post what you want. And maybe because there's still channels that believe that the more comments you have on your channel, the more engagement it will have. On the other hand, if the comments are organic, if there's, spontaneity, I believe in spontaneity in comments. If there's spontaneity, then yeah, there would be more people encouraged to comment. Whether it's something that bashes Brian Rose or something that critiques the system that he has, or people who simply wanted a refund. So, yeah, and if that's what usually happens here on YouTube, you ban a certain group of people from commenting or at least replying to your video, then they will find another place. And here they found that the TEDx video would be a place where they can freely express themselves. So, which is supported by some of the comments here. Here's one um, that says, he's banned everyone. What happened to freedom of speech, Rose? You are a lowlife. Freedom of speech.
God,
Freedom of speech for the win. And then another comment here says, Brian Rose is a complete and utter conman and fraudster. He is without a doubt the lowest scumbag I've ever come across. I want to see him go down. He's a spib and he knows it. I don't know what a spib is.
um,
SPIV?
a spiv. I don't know what that is either. Maybe we should go on Urban Dictionary and find out.
Yeah. Oh, we have a Russian Paul in the comments. He posted some feedback. He said, "I made 1 million worth of sales last month. I don't need the donations I'm asked to." Lol.
Okay, so I looked up the definition of spiv. It's a flashy, slick operator who makes a living more from speculation or profiteering than from actual work. The kind of guy who wears a shiny medallion, goes bankrupt from a dodgy swampland development scheme, but still has a big house in his wife's name.
Wow. Meaning he doesn't have a name or a cent to his name.
Probably.
Mm, I'm familiar with such people. On the other hand, they have a tendency to present themselves online as this big shot. Yeah, it's so easy to present a fake persona, as they say. So, checking further on the comments here. More spam. And there are really some people that would make sure that despite the flood of positive comments or the spammy comments, they would post their thoughts about Brian Rose. Wherein one commented, and this is brilliant: "Beware, folks. This guy is a rose with many thorns." That's brilliant. Like, okay. And then, of course, another one commented, although it's similar to the comment I read a while ago. It says, "The narcissism here is something else. Insufferable." Comment says, "Amazing channel. Heart. King of my heart. Heart." Like, yeah, good luck with that. With invading the comment section with positivity. What the hell?
Yeah, that doesn't work.
It doesn't always work. Okay, and then another person commented, "Should have kept the millions from banking to his for his platform." Like, because let's call what Brian Rose did for what it is, capitalizing on the pandemic. Like,
Yeah,
I haven't even discussed that documentary that he made allegedly with the raised money. It's entitled Plandemic. Like, he's really supporting this idea that the government is not telling you the truth, or the government is not telling everything that you need to know about this pandemic. That he ended up calling it pandemic. Like, okay, you're demonizing the government. What solution do you have to offer? You realize the tactic here, right? Like, look at what the government is doing to you. They don't have the solution. I do.
give me money so that I can tell you what the solution is.
Yeah, that's basically what is the point here. And he's one of those salespeople. Like, yeah, this is the problem. And I find it sad that some marketing tactics would go as far as creating an enemy, creating a common enemy, or at least exploiting some people's frustrations to at least present themselves as the alternative. You know, like, how can I create a common enemy? I don't have any enemies. Yeah, but you hate the same people. You hate the same situations. You hate this and this and this. Like, mm, it's cringy. It's This is why some ads on YouTube are really cringy. Okay, and finally, yeah, I found a screenshot here that has a story similar to Emma. Emma was the former student that Tom Nash interviewed about. I really feel bad for Emma. she lost $15,000 to this man, only to realize that what kind of course is this? Like, oh, God. So here, let me read the comment here, the similar story. To quote, "This man scammed me. I can't stand his face. He offered a money back guarantee on a course that he boasted to be the most life changing course ever. You know what it was? He literally just told us to breathe, eat healthy, meditate, and make to do lists. How is that a $2,000 course? The whole time, there were a lot of shady things going on, like kicking people out of the course all of a sudden and taking away points from people's progress on our class progress sheet. But you were only allowed to get your money back guarantee if you had 100% completed on the progress sheet, but that progress sheet was rigged so that no one could get above 95%. You were set up to fail so that you couldn't get your money back. I tried so many ways to get my money back and blocked them from at my bank before they took the last remaining payments. Try to trick you into paying it though. It did work once, as they got one more payment out of me, but I learned to just stop interacting with them and just keep them blocked. Don't listen to them, they threaten to send you to collections either. They won't follow through on that anyway. They just try to use fear to get you to pay up. They are very rude if you bring up concerns and ignore you if you try to get your money back. What a total scam. End of quote.
I see
Wow.
this way too often.
Hmm. This might have been a scenario familiar to you.
Things they do
And
in
I can't blame
America.
you. Mm-mm. In America and, of course, in other parts of the world, although, of course, most of the complainants ended up from UK because, hey, the program's name is London Real. And it turned out to be a big fake, which is why I'm a little excited for these guests about what they're about to share. I may be struggling a little with their accent, but yeah, with their British accent, but I'm just happy that they are uh, supportive of this episode, supportive of this endeavor to discuss Brian Rose further. And I have to really keep a copy of this episode just in case that I end up like Coffeezilla. He has this podcast. He has a co-host, and then they were talking about Brian Rose, and that podcast got that podcast episode, not the podcast itself. That podcast episode got taken down because somebody reported it, and of course, there's speculation that uh, Brian Rose and his people are behind it. Can't blame them for that. So I would eventually have to really create a backup of this episode, just in case that the worst happens. Because you have a man who has problems dealing with criticism. He has problems with talking to people who actually donated money and then just retorting ad nauseam. Let me guess, he didn't donate. Like what other retorts do you have? Like you've been scamming this many people, and all you could ever say is you didn't donate. Like in my case, do I have to be a donor in order not to discuss this? I'm just discussing it because I don't like how there are more and more people on YouTube being accused of scamming because most of the time it all boils down to promising the service, promising the results if they avail of your course and then not delivering through, and would even make it hard for them to get their money back. So how come you will not get this much criticism if you know how to handle your people? Like, there are some business courses that don't need to be expensive. It just need to work. if especially if it's results based. But then again, if you keep on telling people, yeah, I am a former banker, I have experience for more than 20 years old in this and this and this, so this is the kind of money that you pay me. It's like, we understand we are paying you for your experience and for your knowledge. But if the content of the courses that you are providing do not back up the experience that you've been claiming on TEDx talk, or that you're claiming, yeah, he even granted an interview to Jordan Belfort. I was watching that, I was cringing a bit, but I still tried to finish it because this is obviously a couple of people who don't like the pandemic. Who likes the pandemic anyways? But it gets worse when people let Brian Rose exist and exploit this frustration that we have with the pandemic. Nobody likes it, but you end up hating it more when people try to make it look like that the government is lying to you in order to sell the alternative. Like, I will not be surprised if Jordan Belfort uh, would have his issues with the government as well. Hello, like, how many months did he get in the slammer again? I think that was months, I suppose, or years.
Well, if it's America, probably
Mm,
years.
okay. And I know some copywriters or marketers that were pretty upset that Jordan Belfort got out of jail and tried to redeem himself by putting up his own podcast. I'm almost neutral to that because, I mean, he got out of jail. What else could he be doing apart from doing marketing? Maybe some real estate advice, some stock market advice. No, not the stock market advice. That's what he got in trouble for. But yeah, what else would he be doing but something that would help him earn money? Maybe it's more of a PR thing on in order for him uh, to reclaim good graces with the public, perhaps. On the other hand, you have guests like Brian Rose. Sometimes I end up thinking that he invited Brian Rose as a guest because in the past it was Jordan Belfort who was a guest on London Real. And there's some episodes in London Real that turn out to be good because they're really motivational. They really put emphasis that you do something in order to change your life. But everything good that came out of that podcast, of course, would be tarnished by what happened afterwards, after the David Icke interview. The David Icke interview that I endured watching. And I have a feeling that if you watch that interview on London Real of David Icke, just I think some other channels on YouTube or other um what the hell, other platforms that served as alternatives to YouTube try to share that interview as well. And fair one to everyone that wanted to watch that interview. Be ready to pop a vein in your head. Okay, it's that bad. And you know me, Joe. I have a temper. Like, I don't like an interview, I'd walk away from my laptop, or I'd drop my phone, or I'd leave it at what it is. Maybe I would even restart my phone just so I would clear some cache or cache. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah,
So you've seen this happen before, right?
yeah, many times.
Mm. And this it's issues like this that get heightened because they are online. Everyone can see in real time what's going on. Like, these people just wanted their money back because they think that the investment was not worth it. The course was not worth it. And then you make it hard for them to get their money back. Then yeah, you're a special kind of scumbag. If you make it hard for them to get back their hard earned cash. So So for this volume one of the Brian Rose episode, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh boy. Ah, it's just another one of those classic. I know YouTube is terrible because they don't allow us to get online and talk about what's going on. Well, let me tell you something. I have all the answers, and my platform is going to be much better than you or YouTube. It's going to be a lot better. We're going to eclipse it, and then we're going to be powerful again. We're going to be the ones that are going to be able to make millions of dollars by saying whatever we want. Come on over to my site and you're gonna have to pay like a $20 subscription because I don't have the funds to get this going. You're gonna have to give me your money, and then we're gonna form an army and we're gonna take them down. And then when you finally figure it out, it's, oh wow, there's a lot of problems with this guy. Doesn't know how to run a website, doesn't know how to do it properly, does scams all around. And then when you criticize him, he's like, oh, you just didn't donate, you're not a part of the army. And it's every single classic thing that I've seen from these people that think that they're gonna. Here's the thing: they just want to make the money without getting criticized for it. If you take, it's the
Mm,
same exact thing that I saw from McJuggernuggets after he did finished his Psycho Dad series. When he realized he couldn't make money off of YouTube anymore with all of his stuff, he started Storyfire, and then people complained about that because it was just a pyramid scheme in their minds. And now he went back to YouTube when the pandemic hit because he couldn't make money doing Storyfire because everybody was not paying for anything. So then he went back to YouTube because that was the only way he could make money. So
mm,
the one place he was attacking, he had to go back to. It's the same thing with this guy, Brian.
yeah.
He's trying to make money off of this pandemic, also, which is granted. That you have, if you know anything about America, there were senators that decided that they were going to buy some stock options or sell some stock options and make millions of dollars. And now we have trillionaires now because even Mark Zuckerberg, who's like the Facebook guy, had the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. So there are people that will benefit from others dying, and this guy is doing the exact same thing. And I'm happy that you're going to be bringing on more people that have experienced this because
Mm-hmm.
those
Yes.
stories need to be told.
Oh yes. I'd be happy to have them over. It's like you're willing to come over and say what happened to you when you enrolled in in Brian Rose course. Like okay, and yeah, they even gave me the dates that they would be available, which is why the tentative date would be first week of January 2021. That would be an interesting time to open the year with a bang, literally.
Yeah.
I think I like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually how it would go then. So yeah, and as for me, well, you already heard my thoughts about Jordan Belfort. I'm quite neutral about that, similar to how neutral I was with Rachel Dolezal, because I will always be neutral about people trying to redeem themselves, trying to earn back their money or to recoup their losses. But if there would be some, if you'd be compromising your principles or your ethics or whatever's left of it to make money, yeah, I have a problem with you. I will only talk about you because there are people that needed justice. There are people that needed to get their money back because they were made to believe that there's value in donating to your army. There's no value in it. They tried to sign up for the army and they ended up becoming pawns. And it's sad. So, which is why I'm also looking forward to these guests on how they would be discussing this because some of them have been trying to get in touch with the other YouTubers who talk about this normally. It's not that they have not moved on from this content, it's just that so many things have been happening so far that they have to cover in real time the other topics that trended too. Like I've mentioned them, right? Coffeezilla, Spencer Cornelia, Mike Winnet, Tom Nash, Equals Cash. I think Equals Cash is the one that is still. um, handling some topics that cover the Brian Rose, although it's not clear if he's one that ended up losing money to it as well. But it'd be interesting to know. So once these guests would be confirmed, we would be posting them on the community section, the community board of YouTube. Like I find it weird that I only get to use the community board because I've exceeded 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully I'll be delivering more quality content, uh, topics that would make people talk about issues that you need a platform. Yeah, here's YouTube. You try to abide by the rules, and you try to focus on the issues and less about bashing people. Then you would have a good platform to discuss things. Because here's the thing, like what I noticed in the case of Brian Rose deleting and blocking comments on his London Real videos. They tried to find another place to comment and they succeeded. So there are people that wanted to have their stories known. We have this podcast, then we would be looking forward to those stories, definitely. And I really am thankful to the 3 million viewers that are here right now. I know it's quite a joke now to defer to some viewers that way, but to those that didn't make it at the beginning of the video, the replay would be available shortly. And of course, if you already gave me a thumbs up on this link or on this platform, then that'd be more accessible to you then. So thank you very much, Joe, for accompanying me, handling another interesting topic. We're a little early today, maybe because most of the most of the promising stories are coming in volume two.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'll be seeing you again, and watch out for episode three of season two of Untold Legends, and that would be Dana Chanel. So that's supposed to be the final leg of this scam-based trilogy, or people that were accused of scamming and are still in that trilogy. Anna Delvey, Brian Rose, Dana Chanel. Only that Anna Delvey so far got convicted. Brian Rose is planning to run as mayor of London. Of course, people who have yet to get their refunds are trying to make sure it will not happen. Then, of course, with Dana Chanel, well, she got sued for allegedly not refunding stuff or over promising and under delivering, so to speak. The details would be on the next episode of Untold Legends Season 2, and we'd be looking forward to discussing that with you again. Thank you, and good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night.